it's God's will. He's the creator, and also I was an individual living in the world. So I realized who created it and focus on the things that matter. Today we got a very important topic. I know better than to have it with John. The topic of maturity. I feel like
Let's talk about it.
some people they gotta hit the wall in order to realize their wrongs. And there's some areas that you might need to mature on that I need work on, and vice versa. So John, you wanna interview yourself? Oh, speak tell the word about yourself a little bit real quick.
I'm John. I'm a barber, man of God. Met you through my cousin. That's me, John.
And what was your upbringing like? Like how was it for you growing up?
Upbringing in what sense?
Like your life from when you was born to your teens.
It was good. It was rough. I had my ups and downs, but I just believe my upbringing, everything that occurred in my upbringing is what made me mature, and the slip ups in my upbringing is what makes you mature. But overall, same story as everybody, you know.
Nah, I don't think so. I've,
Of course,
the
my story is
stories.
unique, but I'm saying in the sense whereas we all have our ups and downs and our upbringings.
What are some upbringings you face that you? Yeah, what are some upbringings that you face? And you talk about upbringings, this and that, and all the trials and tribulations that you done face. Like if you could give us an example and how that led you to be more mature in that aspect, whatever category that is.
Well, in the aspect sometimes where we don't listen, that matures us. When you hit your head on the road, for example, not listening to your mom, not honoring
Mm,
your mom, your parents, like it says in the Bible to do. When you don't do that, I've been in situations where I'm like, nah, I got it. I know what I'm talking about. And she's implementing the right advice to me, but I do it my way. And doing that has caused me and like has affected me in thousands of dollars, like in the future that who knows where I could have been. For example, it was a drug test. My mom, like everybody, yo, don't smoke, stop smoking. Anybody get the drug test, blah, blah. Give me the rundown. I'm good. I'm going to take the little Cerdo, little pack, clean my system out. I did it a million times. I'm green. You ain't green. You get me? So, but that's a learning experience. That's what matures you. And knowing when to control, like that point right there made me like really turn into a man and think like a man. Like I just let a substance mess up my bag,
mm,
mess up my potential bag, which was a
mm.
heavy bag. But then that's how it looked at first, but it was also deeper than that. Cause I had to go through that, one to teach me like a character lesson, but then to also land where I'm supposed to be.
For
Like
sure.
that route wasn't for me. Like I was supposed to feel that. You get me? So it was like the way everything happened was not for me to go that route, and it was to get a CDL.
Mm,
So I got the CDL and everything, but I never drove.
mm.
So I could look at it as a bad situation. But if I would have had the opportunity, if I would have like forced it, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
Facts.
Who knows the accident God derailed me from? What obstacle could have gone a thousand ways. And not only that, but it was on some. I'm gonna just run up the bag, get the bag real quick, 1 2 years, then do something that I like. But God cut that time short, and He said, "Start what you like,
Mm,
do what you like. Don't do what looks good. Just do what you do."
mm.
And that made me take my craft serious, and now I do what I love to do. So it was like, in that sense, messing up and hitting your head matured me as a man, and it woke me up, which was the benefit of it. And then it also exposed me to creating my craft and getting started on it.
Feel like we all gotta go through those bumps on the road, and that's why I didn't start off the episode giving you your flowers, but I want to give you certain flowers. Like Manny always tell me, "Yo, Gian, you got a boss demeanor," but I see
Yeah.
that I see the same in you.
Yeah.
And Manny, when we was here, we was in the same room setting up one day, and Yasmin was here. He was like, "Yo, John, you haven't learned nothing from me." Because I'm the type of person that when I love people and they're going down a path, I want to correct them so much so they don't go, they don't have to deal with that pain or regret. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And then I respect that a lot about you because you just listen and you just sit back and watch. And like, I never like being that person if I told you so.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I don't like being on that inside, and that's something that you have, that you're a listener
yeah,
and you're very observant,
yeah,
and that's sometimes hard because communication is listening and talking, and I feel like you don't lack none of those.
yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
You're not afraid to speak up, just like you're not afraid to sit back and put yourself in their shoes and see what's going on,
yeah.
and
Looking at it
that's
for what it is.
and that's key when it comes to. Cause I feel like communication is everything in life, and that
Yeah,
comes with maturity. Most people, they could be 60, 50 years old, they can't even communicate because they're not mature in a certain aspect.
yeah.
And now, when you hear the word maturity, what comes to mind when you hear that word?
It could be you could be mature in different aspects, but I'll correlate maturity with awareness.
Mm,
So being aware and being aware of everything. Being aware as a man, you could put maturity as to being aware as your surroundings. A child isn't aware. A child is present. As a man, you're aware. As a man, yo, I can't sit with my back facing this door because I'll never know. And I'm with my shorty, like something happened. Won't. That's how we think as men. That's maturity. That's awareness. So a child, that's awareness is the best correlation I could put maturity with.
I
Because
like
those
that.
who aren't aware is like you gotta be aware of everything. Aware of you're being respectful or not.
For me,
Aware of your surrounding. Aware of how I'm gonna talk in front of people, around people. That's maturity.
awareness.
Awareness.
For me, I would say like ego, because that's something that always been hard for me. Like it's hard for us as humans to put our ego aside and do what's right.
Yeah.
Like in the Bible, it talks about in the book of Proverbs, a fool shows their annoyance at once, but a prudent overlook an insult. Like it's so hard to turn the other cheek. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's super hard, and that comes with maturity. Because most people, they want to
So
seek it.
killing your ego is what comes with maturity, is what you're saying.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. Just like you said, awareness, because and that lands in awareness, because sometimes we could be aware of a situation, but we're so egotistical and we think we know what's best so much that we want it to be that.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's not that. You just got to accept the facts,
Yeah.
how God presented it to you. Now, John, what is a moment in your life that was one of the hardest times that helped you mature? Like as an example, because I like to get personal on these podcasts. I like to be authentic. I like to be real, transparent with everything I do on and off camera. I'm gonna be me on here, but it's because I feel as a wise man learns off another man's mistakes. And when we talk about maturity, one of the things that would take you so far in life is being coachable,
Yeah.
willing to listen.
Yeah.
And you got that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I also like to learn off other people's mistakes. Like Manny. When Manny talk, I listen.
Yeah.
Because when y'all talk, I listen. When people talk, that's something I'm working on because I love to talk too much.
Mm-hmm.
I want to correct them right away. I got to hear them out.
Yeah.
So what's one of the biggest lessons that has happened to you that looking back, it was a key lesson for you to learn because it made you the man that you are and the man you soon to become.
Well, I would say that instance with knowing when to say no, having control,
Mm,
and also the gym taught me a lot of maturity too, in the sense where I started young, and like I see it now, like I see the 16-year-old that I was, that matureness. I see it now with the younger kids, and I saw it just last week at the gym. Whereas like you see these young kids and it's like this testosterone's on 1,000. They want to be mature. They got the ego all the way up. And it's like you got to know how to calm that ego. They want to ego lift. That all comes
thanks.
with that maturity and just teaching that. But overall, like me listening is what makes me like what gets you to be mature and what made me mature. I had older examples. So me, like I've always caught on quick to put myself in people's shoes, and not shoes, and just in situations, and that'll make me who I am. So, for instance, you going through something, you tell me, you give me the breakdown. I'm gonna listen to you. I'm gonna give you my point of view, and I want to hear your point of view because I want to hear how you experience life, how you experience that situation.
Mm.
It could go either way. That's your situation. You let me know, yo, look, this is how it went. I did it my way. It didn't go right when I did it my way. Now I'm presented that same situation. I've already experienced the situation off you.
Mm.
So I got that matureness and that awareness of like this situation. And that's how you I've had that from my older cousins. I grew up with my older cousins and their friend group. So by the time I'm hanging around with my friends, I'm already like more mature. You get me? Like, yeah, I'm fitting in with certain people that's on the same level that got that knowledge that I got as well. Yeah.
And for you, we talked about your childhood a little. Like obviously, you and Manny, y'all always like y'all didn't have y'all fathers around. So how did that help you mature and become a man faster? Like that manhood. Talk about that manhood and maturity. Because obviously, it's
Yeah.
not the same.
Nah, it's not at all. It's not in the sense I wouldn't correlate that to maturity, but you do last like you are more immature, let's say, in a sense where you don't have that father figure to kind of direct you and show you when to be mature, when to be like this, and when not to be like this. Yeah, mom does that, so we kind of have a sense of behavior wise, but in maturity like that, not really. You get me? So it's like you gotta be. We learned how to develop that in the streets, like observing. Why this guy moving like that? Why he moving like that? Like all of our experience with men is from like outsiders. We got some uncles, but it's not even, so it's
It's not
like
the same.
it's not the same. They're not always around. Imagine being that young and the kids of the house, but then eventually becoming the men of the house. And it's like we become the men of the house by our own interpretation, by what we see, not because somebody taught us how to do that. So that made me personally mature quicker. Cause it's like I gotta step up to this role. I gotta be this guy. I gotta this situation is happening that a man needs to be present and he's not. So I gotta fit those shoes at whatever age, at a young age. My sister matured me. I got a sister when I was 10. So that was like my little sister. You get me? That was like my baby sister. I'm 10. It's different. It's not like that's my peer. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's my peer. That's my sister. We're 10 years apart, but I was more nurturing. I was helping my mom with the baby. You get me? Like that matured me as well. So just experiences like that in my youth that now is like I got my hand on things. Just as life plays out.
And it's like you talk about listening to your mom. For me, it was always listening to my dad and my mom. I feel like my mom was always because I'm the middle child. Like I'm fortunate enough to be raised with both my parents, which made me the man that I am today.
Yeah.
Just like your situation, like my mom, I feel like my older brother was always like a mommy's boy because my dad came later in his life. You know what I'm saying? Like he lasted a minute without my pops, and then I'm 3 years. My brother and me are 6 years apart. My sister and me are 3 years apart. I'm 3 years older than her.
Yeah.
So like my dad came a year before my birthday, same day, January 15th. Crazy. Then my sister was born 3 years later. But long story short, my dad always did his best to guide me in the right direction. My,
So I'm
what
sorry to
happened?
cut you off. So how what was the because I come from a setting without a
Yeah,
dad. So what do you feel like was the driving force of having a dad
like
that matured you like? And what aspect did your dad teach you how to be mature and how to be a man?
my whole life, bro. Being in the city, he came to New York. He got a year more. I'm 23, so he got 24 years in the states.
Okay.
When he came, he stepped up his plate. My mom held it down for like 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
And when he came over here, I was so ungrateful in the city. I was out in the streets. I wanted it my way so much, my ego. The only job I ever had was working with my dad. And then that's when we got together. And I was like, yo, I'm this ungrateful bastard, this fool, this hard headed kid, I'm supposed to be my father's peace, but I was his pain for so long. And then when I went to work with him, it was like, wow, this is how he busted behind just for us. He don't do that just because he loves us. He do that because that's his job. You know what I'm saying? And seeing
Yeah.
how hard he worked, that disciplined me. That ignited a fire that would never die.
Yeah.
Cause now I do it for him. And then he knows I used to smoke. I ain't hiding. I used to smoke in the backyard out of respect. I ain't smoke in the house. I pay
Yeah.
rent and all that. And he told me, yo, Giandy, you go to the gym and all this stuff, but why you go to the gym and then come home and get high? And my dad always been into church. And when he went into church, that's when he let go of those bad ways. My family be drinking. Se quedaba for an hour or two, then he'll bounce. Because the temptation was gonna come. And that's
Yeah.
not his type of environment.
Yeah.
Like I can't
You
go
grow
to a
out of
room.
that.
I can't go to a room with people smoking, drinking, playing this worldly music. I don't feel like myself. You know what I'm saying? And then my teacher too in high school, he told me he wasn't even speaking to me, but the shoe fit. Like I could fit that shoe. He was like, yo, I never understood the concept of inhaling smoke and blowing it out. But meanwhile, I spent like 5, 6 years smoking. And that comes with maturity because now I'm listening to wise people. And that was a class that I feel like everybody should take. It was life skills. Shout out Dr. Cassell. That's the realest class I ever took. And I took it twice. And the first time I didn't pay attention, but then I had to repeat a year in high school. And then I had, like we talked about maturity, learning. You had to go through mistakes to
Yeah. The
triumphs
maturity.
and learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, John, when you talk about maturity, like what's certain things that you'll tell your younger self so you could avoid those certain mistakes? Although it was meant to happen, but I feel like there's people out there in the world that still haven't learned those lessons that you have learned.
Like, what would I tell the youth on maturity?
Your younger self,
My
John,
younger
John, when he
self.
was in high school, like for example, us as
Mm.
kids, we want to grow up so fast. Instead of yo,
Yeah.
enjoy your childhood, focus on what you want, stick to where you want, and don't get so diverse and forget about everybody, forget about this world, forget about the status, forget about the picture that they paint, because it ain't what it is. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, what I'll say to my younger self will probably be to stop procrastinating.
Mm,
Because that will, like, that holds you back. And that'll probably be, like, the only thing to stop procrastinating and get on
mm,
things. Because that carries on, and that trait isn't a good trait to have.
for sure.
I
And
would
that
have been if, like, I see it now, and I was like, I get eager with the young, like with a younger crowd, because it's like, yo, I'm like, yo, get on it right now. Like, you're in high school, you know, mad people, you're around a lot of people. Like, I exposed that to them, something that I wasn't exposed to, and
mm,
it's like, now's the time. I got I know a younger kid. He's like 16. He wants to learn how to be a barber or whatever. Cool. I'm telling him like, yo, now's the time. Because if you procrastinate, if you hold it back, you might as well go through the hard part now at 16, 17, shit, even 18. Cool. But by the time you're 19, you taking off.
for
And
sure.
that's cool. Like, but that's procrastination. It's like not taking your thing serious. Whatever you like to do, just do it. Start it. Anything small, any idea, it gotta be created.
Procrastination is the assassination of all
Yeah.
destination. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I was heavy on procrastination. I used to smoke. I feel like those bad substances, they held me back.
Yeah.
That's why Manny today was like, yo, I switched it yesterday. He was like, yo, I love that mantra, day one or one day. That's tough. Turn that one day into day one. But it's like the intentions behind it weren't pure, and I was so blind to it. The Bible talks about can the blind lead the blind?
Yeah.
They will both fall into a pit.
Yeah.
So I gotta reroute a whole different way. I don't care.
So why did you change? Like, what was the idea behind God's world for your new name for your
That
podcast?
you gotta we're here for him. And when you do things wholeheartedly and you serve, refresh others and you shall be refreshed. So it's like we gotta focus on what really matters. This is God's world, not ours. Like this is mine. This is mine. Like nah, it's just my season. It's
Yeah.
my turn to have this.
Yep.
Talk about stages in life. We all
Nothing's
go through,
yours. Nothing's ever yours.
and nothing
Yep.
is new under the sun. And we all go through different stages in life. But each stage we learn something different. Each stage we have something different. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
things that remain the same is His word. His word remains the same forever. And I was blessed enough to grow up in church, to know His presence. That's why I feel like He was with me my whole life. But there's some people that don't have that.
Yeah.
When you talk about people that hit the streets, it's kids with single moms, people that don't have a father figure. That's why I'm blessed that I ain't go that route. Cause it's easy to fall into it. Cause it's instant gratification. Like sometimes we think that's the best way, but nah, delayed gratification. That's the way you spoke about the youth. Now, John, what's the biggest lesson you have learned throughout your life? That's a question I love asking.
That nothing's more important than God.
Talk about it. Why?
Like I love the new name is God's world, and the quicker you realize that, the quicker everything makes sense.
Mm,
That's like the most important thing in life that you could like. You gotta wake up. Like if you don't wake up and understand the concept that this is God's world, like this is His canvas. We're just a part of the canvas.
for
We're
sure.
part of the art. Where we get the chance to be alive and be a part of the creation. And just for that,
But you know
you
what's
gotta
so
be super thankful for that.
crazy? I feel like He gives us so much power. We
I
have
don't
so
feel
much.
like He gives us power. I feel like He gives us choice. And there's a difference between that.
He gives
Between
us.
power and the choice.
He gives them the freedom of will for what you do with that. That's what I'm saying. We have so much power that it says the power of life and death is in the tongue.
Yeah.
The power of life and death is in the tongue. So we have some type of power just with our mouth.
Yeah.
They say, watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. And watch your actions because they become your reality. So when people talk about, oh, this doesn't exist. Like I was telling brother AB, people are right from their perspective. But you saying that doesn't disclaim the truth. Because if you say I don't believe in jail, you commit a crime. You doing time, whether you want to face that or not. That's just the truth of life. And I wanted to talk about the topic of maturity because I feel like you're a very mature individual for your age. And most people they see me, obviously I got a baby face, so they think I'm younger.
Yeah.
But the mindset is everything in life. Your mindset will take you further. Now, John, what is the message you'd like to leave for the people when we wrap up the topic of maturity?
I love the new name. So what I want to leave with the people is God's world. This is God's world. And that makes you and drives you to be mature. Knowing God is what matures you. Is the
Amen.
seed that you plant to blossom maturity. When you got the mirror reflecting on you, hey, this is what is right, this is what is wrong, you got to be mature enough to say, do I want to keep doing this? Or am I going to man up and handle what I like to do even though it's wrong?
Mm,
Because that's what's maturity.
facts.
Knowing, hey, this is wrong, and either continuing to doing it or walking away from it. And that's something I still battle with. Let things go, but the goal is so that's your maturity. Sinning less.
For sure.
It's it's maturity just to stop gambling. You get me? Like it's small little increments that mature you. It's not doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen. Oh, this guy's such a mature person. It's a process, and this little process like that. Stop gambling. Cool. That's one thing out the way. Stop doing something else that you might be into. That's wrong. That's whatever. And just little by little, you transform yourself and look at yourself as a mature person.
Sure. And you talked about God's world. I love that vision. Shout out to Pastor Josue. Yesterday, Wednesday, in Young Adults, he was talking about you got to humble yourself before God.
Yeah.
Jesus watched his disciples' feet. Peter said, "Oh no, don't do that." But he said, "You don't understand what I'm doing now, but one day you'll understand." Like everything that Jesus did was to set the tone. He led by example in so many ways. And if we look at that, that's maturity. Because look at what he did just to show the way.
Yeah.
In the book of Genesis, he talks about he created heavens and the earth in 6 days. But why he rested on the seventh? Not just because he had to, he did it for us to
Yep.
show us. what we got to do.
Yep.
We got to follow him. We got to see him as an example, see him as a leader, and submit our ways to him. We so focused on comparing ourselves to others, we don't focus on ourselves. And at the end of the day, you look to somebody on your left, they gonna want to be in your shoes. But you look to somebody on your right, you be like, damn, I wish I had that life. So no matter what, you just gotta focus on yourself, man.
And I like that connection where you said, like, when you mentioned Jesus, because Jesus is the perfect example of maturity. That's why it's like Jesus is the maturity within
Mm.
instead of the maturity of religion that's without,
Oof.
from the outside. You get me? Religion, you look mature. You look good. From the outside, you look great. You got your little cap on, you got your little dress, you got your little whatever. You look good from the outside. But Jesus was mature, outside and inside,
Mm.
mostly in the inside. Because I could look mature, but in the inside, be a completely different thing.
For sure.
Jesus was mature enough and humble enough to be born in a manger.
Mm.
You get me? Like, that's maturity. Jesus could have came right now, 2020, been born in a hospital. Just like we were. Just like we got the opportunity to do. We didn't do that. That's maturity. That's humbleness. Jesus washed people's feet. That's maturity. You get me? Like, it's different. It's really different when you really look at it for what it is.
For sure. And guys, God's world is not our world. And the perfect podcast I always recommend is the one with Matthew, because he also mentioned, the Bible mentions that faith comes from hearing the word. Then you go and read it, so your subconscious mind could be intact. You can know right from wrong. Because once you know the truth, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That's all I gotta say, man. Thank you for tapping in. Do whatever you want to do. Like, comment, subscribe, but just do something.
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Made it this far.
Turn that one day into day one. That ain't never gonna leave my bones, man. If we all have dreams, let's just go after them and turn that one day into day one. Remember, it's not your will, it's God's will. So submit to him, seek him, and find him. He loves you.
Amen.
God loves you. He wants a relationship with you. Thank you.